So I want to start this tutorial by giving credit where credit is due. Some of this information comes from a Synthesizer V forum post by Danny Mont. Big props to them. I've linked their post in the description if you want to go check it out. But I have tweaked what they've done a little bit and added a couple of things to it, but their guide definitely played a big part in this method. This is a short piece of a song I wrote that has a more mellow section where breaths fit pretty nicely. So this is a short example of what breaths can sound like in a finished song.
Be a fearless girl, just an endless apology. The meal is done and we're headed home. Late night, we're all alone, walking hand in hand while the crickets serenade. I had plans to share my heart, everyone fell apart, but I've got one more card I still haven't played. I turned.
And here's the vocals by themselves so you can hear them a little better.
The meal is done and we're headed home. Late night, we're all alone, walking hand in hand while the crickets serenade. I had plans to share my heart, everyone fell apart, but I've got one more card I still haven't played.
So how do you make Eleanor breathe? The process is actually pretty simple. All you need to do it is just a single note and some simple parameter tuning. Now the most important part of making a breath is to make sure that the note's voicing is as low as it will possibly go. It needs to be all the way down to 0. If you don't have any tuning to the voicing, Eleanor is just going to sing whatever note that you have in your piano roll, so it's going to sound like this. Which is clearly not a breath, and that's definitely not what you want. Now, you can lower the voicing, but even if it's all the way down here, if it's not 0, if you have any kind of voicing on the note at all, you're still going to be able to hear it. So I've got it down almost to 0, but there's still a little bit of voicing on that, but you're still going to be able to hear that E note when it plays. It's real quiet, but you can still hear it's there, so just make sure your voicing is all the way down, and then you won't get any of that note. You'll just have the breath, and that's what you want. Any breath note that you create is going to use the same phoneme each time, the HH. Now you can also add a second vowel phoneme to slightly change how the breath sounds. So depending on what notes you may have coming up later, you might want to use a different vowel to slightly tweak the sound of the breath. And I've laid a bunch of different breaths in a row here so you can see how the different vowels affect the sound of the breath. So as I said before, different vowels could fit better when leading into certain words or lyrics that you have coming up. So play around with the vowels and see which one makes the breath sound best to you. So you have your breath note in, you've adjusted the phonemes, and you've dropped the voicing down to 0. You could leave the notes like this, and it may sound fine, but you can also adjust the note's loudness in certain places to make them sound even better and more authentic. So I have a breath note here in front of some regular singing notes, and there's no loudness tuning on this breath note yet. No tuning at all. And this is what it sounds like.
La 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 la.
So it sounds okay how it is, but I don't like how quickly the breath starts and ends. It sounds kind of abrupt. And I want it to fade in and out a little bit more, and so I can easily do this by adjusting the loudness of the note. So I want the breath to fade in at the beginning, so I'm going to add some points toward the start, that start quiet and get louder. So it's going to kind of fade in as you go left to right. Loudness down here is real low, and it's going to fade in as the note goes along. And you can fine-tune these however you want to get them just right. I'm going to try something like that, see how that sounds. That sounds good, but I could tell that the beginning of the breath there was right before this note dropped, this point dropped. So I need to drag this over a little bit more to make sure the beginning of the note is actually down here as quiet as this point says it should be. So let's try that again. Okay, that had a nice fade in, so that's what we want. Now I'm going to do the same thing at the end of the note, but this one is going to be a little bit steeper and quicker. But I think I dragged those too far, so I'm going to bring them back this way, because I don't want to overlap with this first singing note at all. I'll give that a try. Yeah, that sounds quite a bit better to me. And you might also lower the peak loudness of the breath itself a bit, just so it's not as loud as the singing, but that's really up to you. I like my breaths to be a little more subtle and not so in your face, but if you're writing a more aggressive song, you may want the breaths to be louder, because that may sound better and fit the song better. And that's about it. That's all you really need to know to make Eleanor Forte breathe. So I hope this tutorial helps you add a little bit of realism to your songs. And once again, special thanks to Danny Mont and his SynthB forum post that really helped me out.